Alright, so let's talk about Inkscape. Inkscape is another free software that you can use. It is a alternative to Adobe Illustrator and is actually a really powerful software tool that a lot of graphic designers use, and we can use it for some of our graphics. So I'm just going to show you a few simple little tricks with it. This isn't going to be an in-depth tutorial on Inkscape. However, there are lots of very good tutorials on YouTube, and I'll try to link to some of my favorites and some of the best in the Facebook group. But just real quick, some of the things you can use Inkscape for. First thing is I showed you how I opened one of these ninja logos, one of these free logos, or characters I should say, and I showed you how you can crop and delete, erase, so you can use the image yourself. And what I'm going to show you in this is just how you could do it in Inkscape. And all I want to do here is, as long as I have the selection tool here, I can just select and delete. And now I could probably highlight a few of these and then delete them all at once. Okay, I want to highlight all of these and then hit delete. And then if this is several layers, so if I just highlight all of them and hit the delete key, okay, and then I've got what I need, and I can crop the size here and export. Alright, the other thing about Inkscape that I like is when it comes to text and text manipulation, especially for if you're designing like a logo or something like that, and you don't want to pay, you don't have the budget to pay $100 or $50 or $75 for a logo. You can use Inkscape, and we're just going to type some text here, and we're going to go ahead and resize that. And what I like is if you select the text, you can easily change the space between each one. Okay, you can also do it, there's a way to do it individually. You just select between the text, and you would hit Alt and the arrow key if you're on Windows. Okay, and that would widen the space between the E and this E. I'll also show you another way you can do that here later on in the video. So the other things you can do is, okay, if I select here, now I can go ahead and resize this text. Okay, easily just by dragging and dropping, and then I can move it around. There's an undo key here and a redo, so if you screw up you can always go back. Where Inkscape really comes in handy though with logos and things like that is when you convert to a path. Okay, so I've got this selected with the select tool. I'm going to go ahead to path and choose object to path, and then I'm just going to double click here, and you see I'm still on the select tool. You'll see what this did is it turned every letter into its own separate, okay, layer. So now I can manipulate text here. So if I want to move this, change the space, the kerning it's called is the space between text, but I can go ahead and do things like that. Alright, so I can move these, put them together if I wanted to, a little bit of space, a lot of space. Okay, just makes it real easy to do this. Now I can do a lot of this in Photoshop, but it's a little easier in Inkscape, and Inkscape's also free. Okay, the other thing I can do is, after I've converted this to path, I can come up here and click here, edit paths by nodes, and now when I click on, say, this free here, I have these little dots, and I can manipulate the text by holding down the left button on my mouse. Okay, I could manipulate this text here and here and widen it out. Okay, if I click on the E, I could fatten this letter. Okay, I can shorten this. Okay, now where this comes in handy is with logos, and when you want to manipulate text to look like an image. You can also draw in Inkscape, so you can add circles and squares, and there's a lot of really good YouTube videos about that. I'll point you in the right direction to check those out. Just a few simple things you can do in Inkscape, and then if you want to learn some of the more advanced stuff or a few tips and tricks here, You can check out some of those videos on YouTube.